Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about Nintendo Switch emulation with Ryujinx, and Ryujinx got some small but nice updates. So version 1341 and 1342 have fixes for Adreno GPUs. In version 1341, it fixes an issue on Adreno GPUs where the renderer would not match the size of the window after a resize. In 1342, there's a workaround here for crashes in Unreal Engine 4 games, like Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. And in the latest version, 1343, there's even more Adreno fixes, and this one fixes a crash in a variety of titles, including The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at boot. Ryujinx is 100% free, it's open source, it's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and if you're interested in learning more about it, I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Next up, we're talking about Android on the Steam Deck. Now, we talked about this subject the other day when Waydroid was discovered in some data mining on the Steam Deck. And there is an unofficial way to get Waydroid up and running on the Steam Deck. I'll drop a link to this GitHub in the description below. There's also a YouTube video up showing exactly how to do this. Now, Waydroid is a container for Android. Basically, it will run Android inside of it. There are scripts being involved, so do execute caution, but again, I'll drop a link to everything in the description below. And on a side note, Gardner Bryant also has a YouTube video up showcasing some compatibility as well. Don't expect this to be compatible with every single Android app. The Steam Deck is not an ARM-based CPU. Next up, we're quickly talking about the big Fallout 4 mod, Fallout 4 London, which is about to receive its official release over on GoG. So over on Reddit, they provided a status update, and they say the bottom line is that we've sent several builds over to GoG for QA testing and are waiting for the final green light. Once they've completed the process of double-checking that Fallout London and its installer work on all supported machines, we should be good to go. Yes, we have our own installer and downgrader too. This mod does require a copy of Fallout 4 in order to work, and although they are distributing the installer over on GOG, they have said that it will work with Steam versions as well. Moving on, and we're talking about Game Boy Advance emulation with Pizza Boy GBA, or now known as Pizza Boy A. And someone asked if this emulator will ever hit iOS. And the developer of Pizza Boy GBA actually responded over on Discord, and they say it means build a new app from scratch. I don't know if I will ever have the time to do this. A solution could be to find an iOS dev happy to join Pizza Emu's team. Anyone here? So this kind of closes the door as to whether or not Pizza Boy GBA is going to hit the App Store, unless someone who knows about iOS stuff decides to join the team. Next up, if you've got a whole lot of money to spend on something that may or may not work, but you like the whole Nintendo and Sony collaboration back in the day for the original concept PlayStation, then this auction may be for you. There's a brand new auction up on Heritage Auctions for one of these controllers. Now, the description of this auction says it looks like the controller has seen little to no use. However, if we take a look at the back, there are some scuffs, especially on the connector. Now, this thing is super rare. There were not many of them at all made, and they don't normally come up for auction, at least authentic ones. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Would you be willing to spend a whole lot on this thing? Because I'm assuming it's going to go for a lot. Next up, this one's a quick one, but a surprising one. Apparently, there's a fan-made 3D remake of Crusader of Centy currently in development, and it's looking really good. However, unfortunately, it's not going to be the full game. The developer says, friendly reminder, it's a demo with only a few minutes of gameplay to show what a remake could look like today. Don't expect a full game. Crusader of Centy was supposed to be something that took on Zelda. It was originally for the Mega Drive, and if you've never played this game, it may be worth checking out. Next up, we're quickly talking about Pokemon, and Pokemon Sleep appears to be doing pretty darn well. It's been reported that they've earned $100 million after 1 year of use. According to this data, 73% or $73 million of this revenue has come from players in Japan, with $15 million coming from players in the US. Next up, we're quickly talking about Cities Skylines 2 on console, and things are not looking good. The game was pushed back to October of this year, and now with a recent announcement, it has been delayed indefinitely. So over on their forums, they say, "Dear console players, we wanted to update you on the console release schedule. Unfortunately, we have not yet met the stability and performance targets we set for the console release. Without a release candidate, we are now unable to meet an October release window. So they say they still are making progress, and it doesn't seem like this has been abandoned just yet, but I'm curious to see what happens in the future. Next up, this one was unexpected from Disney, but Disney has just announced a brand new game for mobile for iOS and Android. It's called Disney Pixel RPG. This game is going to be free to play with in-app purchases, so you can probably kind of tell what kind of game this is going to be. And it's being brought to the stores by Gung Ho Online Entertainment, who you may know from Teppen. To be honest with you, I may check out this game just for the free elements and see where it goes and maybe enjoy it for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and that's about it. But who knows, maybe it'll turn out to be good. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about Crunchyroll, and Crunchyroll has done something that's rustled a lot of feathers. They've deleted and disabled comments on the entire platform, including episodes and news articles. Now, this was not done by accident. Crunchyroll apparently did this on purpose, and here is their alleged response. At Crunchyroll, we prioritize creating a safe and respectful community environment. To maintain this standard, we are hiding all existing user-generated content, including comments and reviews across all our platforms and experiences. And the only user input that's going to remain is the user rating systems, and they're encouraging basically everybody to take the talk off their platforms and just use social media instead. To be honest with you, I'm not quite sure as to why they're doing this. If they weren't happy with comments, they could always just moderate them, unless they didn't want to pay for a moderator or use AI to moderate or whatever. Anyways, here it'd be as if YouTube took away comments and told people to go talk about YouTube videos over on Twitter. To me, it makes no sense whatsoever. Next up is a quick heads up about the Xiaomi 15 and 15 Pro, and these cell phone specs have leaked and prices have also leaked early. They will be powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4. They're priced under $1,000 and they'll have up to 16 gigs of RAM. While I am personally not really a big fan of Xiaomi, these prices are not too bad at all. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts if you use Xiaomi, and let me know your experiences with them. Moving on, and we're talking about a brand new Windows emulator for Android, but it may not necessarily be brand new. It may be using open source stuff and then closing the source and then attaching some sort of charging gimmick to it, like buying a specific controller. Similar to other apps that we've seen in the past that still somehow exist on the Google Play Store. And yes, if you haven't guessed, I'm talking about EggNS. Anyways, here, GameSir appears to be behind a new Windows emulator on Android called GameFusion. Now, I am almost willing to bet that this is going to be using free and open source code, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how this thing turns out. I'll drop a link to a YouTube video in the description below that goes over this thing in more detail. I have not seen this yet in public, but I'm assuming a release is imminent. But moving on, and next up, we're talking about Switch emulation with Sudachi, and Antique has provided an update against the DMCA from Nintendo. He says, quick update regarding Sudachi. I've replaced existing code with libhack, and I'm still waiting on a response from GitHub. I've also looked into 1201, which is referenced in every DMCA by the same person. And from my understanding, the emulator is fine. So Sudachi has not thrown in the towel yet on this DMCA from Nintendo, and I'm very curious to see how this all pans out. I'm curious to see if GitHub actually responds to Sudachi and gives them a platform for a voice. Moving on, and we're quickly talking about Sigma Star Saga. Now, Sigma Star Saga is an RPG, a shoot-'em-up RPG that was released for the GBA. And WayForward has just announced that this is headed to modern consoles and PC. This will be re-releasing in 2025 after 20 years, and I don't know the price of this one yet, but it will be headed to the Game Boy Advance and PC and I guess TBA consoles. I'll drop a link to the news announcement in the description below. And speaking about game studios, next up here we're talking about Embracer, and I can't say I'm surprised by this one. Embracer owned Piranha Bytes, the creators behind RPG franchises like Gothic, Risen, and Elix, has seemingly been closed down after 27 years. I wouldn't be surprised if this was not the last studio that Embracer is closing down. They seem to be embracing things so hard they're kind of choking the life out of them. And sorry for that bad pun. Anyways, that's all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We've talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.